And what was the frequency of your interaction with Vice President Biden during that time?
I can't remember the frequency, but if he traveled in my region, I saw him often.
Just, I guess, to get some context.
No, I understand. I don't want to lock in on the amount of time, but sure. I saw him often enough.
And would this be in a room full of people, or did you have meaningful, direct conversations with the vice president as well?
I did. And I traveled with him. Yeah.
And did you advise him as well?
As it relates to my job.
So during that time,
sorry, can you give an example of what you mean by that as it relates to your job?
Yeah, sure. Happy to do it. I was the Northeast political director. So in that role, anytime he traveled in the Northeast, I traveled with him when he was doing specific political events.
And what would you advise him on?
Because I was the person who kept an eye on what was going on the ground for the administration politically. If he had questions, I was able to answer those questions. That's it. And it was just what was happening on the ground in that state.
And during that time, when you first had met and interacted with Vice President Biden, did you notice that he had a stutter?
I honestly can't remember specifically if he had a stutter. Obviously, this is something that he talks about very often, and he was always open about his stutter. But I can't remember in 2009 if that came up or if I even noticed it. But I know that he talked about it pretty regularly.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I have so many questions about this. By the way, this is backed by popular demand. People seem to love this here interaction, so I'm going to go ahead and continue to cover this. But, I have so many questions for Karine Jean-Pierre. Like, why would he talk about his stutter? That is one of the most fascinating aspects to all of this. I find it hilarious because, she's like, he talked about his stutter all the time. He was very open about his stutter, as a matter of fact. Like I know a couple of people that have a literal stutter. Like, they actually have a stutter. They don't have to talk about it because you can hear it in their speech. Why would they say, I personally have a stutter? Why? Like, and miraculously, right? Miraculously, Joe Biden, anytime he's in front of a camera, anytime he can be recorded by video, that stutter just so happens to go away. It's one of those on again, off again type of stutters that, when he gets nervous or he gets a camera put in his face, it goes away. He's just fine. And then when the camera's not there, he's back to stuttering again, I guess. So fascinating, y'all. But y'all do me that favor. Smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. Click that join button, by the way. Sign up and become a member. You probably want to help me out. You know what I'm saying? But without any further ado, here's some more of Karine Jean-Pierre talking about Joe Biden's stutter and not answering questions.
The reason I ask, and I use the word stutter because I believe that's the word that President Biden used, and we talked about this a little bit with Anita Dunn, who recalled not noticing or knowing about his stutter until he made it public at some point, I think around 2020. Is that how you recall it as well?
Look, I don't specifically remember. Obviously, that's her recollection. I can't speak to that, but I don't remember specifically when that came up. But I know that he has talked about it pretty regularly. And look, I don't think anybody who has a stutter, that prevents them from doing high level and executing high level issues and problem solving.
Of course, we're trying to understand sort of a change over time.
Yeah.
And later on, I think the stutter was an excuse at times used later on in the campaign. So I think I'm just trying to get a sense for what the evolution of that was over time. So you don't recall specifically during that time?
I don't. I just know that on the campaign, I do remember him meeting someone who had a stutter, a young boy who had a stutter, and connecting with that young person. And he would have conversations about what was his trick to try to get through his stutter, which I think was kind of like his humane way of connecting with people. That's what I remember.
Of course. And this is the 2020 campaign?
This is the 2020 campaign that I'm talking about.
So in 2009, and I won't hold you to exactly 2009, but in that range, did you ever hear President Biden stutter?
I honestly don't recall. I don't recall hearing that. And I did interact with him, but I don't recall that.
How would you describe his communication skills during that time? 2009-ish.
2009. He was, the Joe Biden that people talk about, very friendly, very open, wanting to know who was everybody in the room. He was not like any elected official that I had worked with. He was incredibly friendly and wanted to know everything about you. That's the Vice President Joe Biden that I met.
And do you recall him having any trouble recalling your name?
Not that I recall back in 2009. Not that I recall.
So you don't remember an instance where he forgot your name or maybe somebody else's name around you?
No. I mean, I was technically on Obama's team, but I traveled with him from time to time. But I don't remember him not knowing who I was.
So when he saw you, he would say, "Hi, Karine," or "Hi, Ms. Jean-Pierre."
He would be very friendly when he saw me, and he knew what my role was, and we would just move forward in that fashion.
And you mentioned that you worked on President Obama's 2012 re-election campaign. During that campaign, did you have a similar frequency of interaction with Vice President Biden?
No, because my role was different, so no.
So you didn't see him very often?
I didn't interact with him.
Not at all?
No, because we were in Chicago. They were in the White House. He and the president were pretty busy, and so we didn't see either of them very frequently.
Did you have any role in debate preparation for either President Obama or Vice President Biden?
No. In 2024, no.
So I guess to be clear, during the Obama administration, did you work on debate prep for anybody?
No, I did not.
And you did not in the 2024, did you do that in the 2020
Yes,
race
yes, I was.
for President Biden?
Yes, then Vice President Biden and also then Senator Kamala Harris.
Okay, thank you. We'll get more into that later. But,
No.
So you mentioned you joined the Biden 2020 campaign around May, is that right?
Yeah, May 2020.
Did somebody approach you for this role?
It was a conversation that I had with then Vice President Biden in early of 2019. Don't remember the exact day when he had asked me to join the campaign before he announced, and I was not able to do that. I had a young child at the time and could not commit being on the road for 2 years. And so one of the things that we discussed was in the general election for me to come on board in the general election if that were to happen.
So it was a conversation directly with then Vice President?
Yeah. Yeah. And then it was revisited in May of 2020.
Was that a phone call?
No, it was a meeting
Where was the meeting?
in Virginia.
Was where specific? Was that a home or a restaurant?
If I'm remembering correctly, it was a home that the Bidens rented in Virginia in 2019 at the time.
Can you add a little color to what that meeting was?
It was pretty straightforward. It was, come join my campaign, need you on my campaign. It was very straightforward. There was nothing much more than that, being just straightforward and asking me and direct.
Did you talk about his time served, Joe Biden's time as vice president? Did he make any reference to that?
No, it wasn't a long conversation. It was pretty direct.
Sure.
And once you joined the Biden 2020 campaign, did you travel with and former Vice President Biden?
It was COVID, so there wasn't not a lot of traveling. I mean, this was 2020 campaign was unprecedented, as I'm sure you all could imagine. And so it was, there wasn't a lot of travel because of COVID.
So what did your interactions with candidate Biden look like?
It was mostly virtual, to be quite honest, because of COVID.
And were these meetings, with lots of participants on the call, or did you interact directly with?
It would depend.
So occasionally you would have calls directly with candidate Joe Biden?
Like one-on-one.
How would you characterize it?
I would say that anytime there involved information that he needed, or to prepare for a meeting, there would be a virtual conference call.
So,
I couldn't tell you how many people were on the call.
Sure. So, but you interacted with him, whether it be virtually or on the phone or maybe occasionally in person, frequently?
Well, it was COVID, so it was mostly virtual or on the phone. And I don't know, maybe I saw him a handful of times because of the moment that we were in.
So those virtual and phone calls, were they frequent?
We're talking about 2020. I mean, it was a campaign, so they were often. I can't give you the exact frequency.
And can you estimate how many times you actually interacted with then candidate Biden in person?
Probably, this is just a guess, I would say maybe less than 5 times. I mean, it was COVID, so
Sure.
it was really hard to engage in person.
And it's my understanding that President Biden was mostly based out of Wilmington at that time. Is that correct?
I know he was in Delaware.
Sure.
Yeah, most of the time.
And I'm not asking for an address, but just generally, where were you based at that time?
I was based in Maryland.
Who, to your understanding, was actually with then candidate Biden up in Delaware?
I don't know. I mean, it was again, it was COVID. It was a very, very small team of people that were around because of just trying to be careful and mindful of the protocols. And it was, as we all know, a scary time.
And then I believe you said in August of 2020, roughly, you became then candidate Kamala Harris's chief of staff. Is that right?
Yeah, the running mate. Mm-hmm.
And could you remind us what your title was?
The chief.
What your role was exactly?
Basically to help manage her team and to get her ready for whatever it is that she needed, whether it was a debate or a speech or making sure that she had what she needed on the road while she was traveling. But it was managing the team, essentially, what chief of staffs do.
So you did help prepare Kamala Harris for her vice presidential debates?
Yeah, I think she only had one, if I remember it correctly.
You are.
Yeah.
Nice try there, investigators, trying to get her to slip up. And, you can't really slip up all that much when you're not really giving any answers at all. When the answers are so nebulous that you could get out a fan and probably blow the answers away. Just spread out like a fog, for crying out loud. Like, come on, can we get some straight answers? Like, what were you discussing with Joe Biden? What did you consult him on? Oh, well, this and that, and, things on the ground, things that were going on the ground. Yes, current relevant topics. That's what we discussed. Like, are you kidding me with these answers here? Does anybody believe that Joe Biden actually got with a little kid that had a stutter and they met up to discuss their stutter and how they deal with their stutter, as a matter of fact? Like, nobody believes any of this nonsense. Like, we already know the results of this investigation. They voided out Joe Biden's pardons, as a matter of fact. Now, whether that flies through the courts, we have no idea yet. We're going to have to wait and see. But I do imagine that Donald Trump getting that news that, hang on, hey, the GOP, the Oversight Committee, they voided out these pardons, saying that he did not know what he was doing. He was incompetent. And he was not in his right state of mind to sign off on these pardons or actually have the machine do it for him, because we all know it was the auto pin presidency, as a matter of fact. And I love the fact, I absolutely love the fact that Donald Trump changed out the portrait of Joe Biden on the wall with an auto pin machine. That is so funny. I find it freaking hilarious. I mean, come on, guys. We got to give him an award for funniest moment, right? I mean, come on. That's just hilarious if you ask me. But, you know, these people like trying to pretend that Joe Biden had a stutter. I mean, do they not realize that when they make these answers, when they give out these answers, that we have archived footage, right? We can go back and look at Joe Biden. We can look at debates. We can look at speeches. You know, the dude made regular appearances on corporate press TV shows, right? Like, he always was speaking. He was a senator, for crying out loud. Then he was the vice president, for goodness sakes. So it's like, we can go back and look at Joe Biden in 2009, in 2010. We can go back and look at Joe Biden in the 1980s, and not once will you ever come across a clip of Joe Biden actually stuttering to where you're like, man, this dude has a stutter.
If we look at the Middle East, I think it's about time we stop, those of us who support, as most of us do, Israel in this body, for apologizing for our support for Israel. There's no apology to be made. None. It is the best $3 billion investment we make. Were there not an Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest in the region. The United States would have to go out and invent an Israel.
I mean, everybody, for every once in a while, and then they'll keep going. So you mean to tell me that Joe Biden's stutter is just like everybody else's stutter, who, when they're trying to speak a little bit too fast, they might, it comes out like that sometimes? I do that all the time. Does that mean that I have a handicap, for crying out loud, that I have a stutter? No. We all know what's going on here. Joe Biden is getting old. He's got amnesia. He's got dementia, for goodness sakes. His mental faculties are waning. We can all see that. Let's stop playing these freaking games, and let's all admit to this. As a matter of fact, Kamala Harris was on Jon Stewart the other day and said this.
I believe he was fully competent to serve.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
That surprises me, actually.
No, I do. There's a distinction to be made between running for president and being president.
What's the distinction?
Well, being a candidate for president of the United States is about being in a marathon at a sprinter's pace, having tomatoes thrown at you every step you take.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, it's more than a notion.
Get involved in public service, ladies and gentlemen.
And to be the seated president, the sitting president, while doing that, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. I think it's a hard case to make for people that he didn't have the stamina to run, but he had the stamina to govern. Because I think most people view the presidency as a marathon run at a sprint with tomatoes being thrown at you in terms of governance.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm going to use that in my next video because that's a topic of the video. We're going to be discussing some things, so I'm sorry. But, you know, to reuse a video clip. But yes, she was like, well, you know, there's a vast difference between running for president and actually being the president. And I wonder why that is, Kamala Harris. I wonder why that is. Maybe because he didn't have to do anything. Maybe because it wasn't Joe Biden that was actually in charge, making the decisions. All we needed was his corporeal form. You remember that news article? Hey, Joe, all we need is your corporeal form. That was an actual headline of a news article in 2019 where these people, liberals, knew that Joe Biden's mental faculties were starting to wane and that he was not going to be mentally capable by the end of his presidency. And you're telling me that this dude was fully cognizant of everything that was going on around him, of all the current relevant events that are taking place in the country that a president should be knowing about. You mean to tell me that he's going to be completely cognizant of all of these things, that he's going to know what our position in the world is right now, and he's going to know that, hang on, you know, Venezuela is making this move, and, you know, Taiwan is making this move, or blah, 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 whatever that may be. You mean to tell me that Joe Biden could have done what Donald Trump was doing with peace all over the place. You mean to tell me he could go make all these negotiations? No, he couldn't. He couldn't do any of these things, folks. He wasn't freaking in charge, and we know that. So please, for the love of everything that is holy, stop freaking lying to us about this. We are not retards. For goodness sakes. I mean, look, that's putting a bad name on retards. As a matter of fact, some people that are actually mentally retarded could figure out that Joe Biden was not fully cognizant of his own capabilities. It's insane, folks. It really is. This whole thing, this little oversight committee hearing investigation is an absolute farce. For the answers that we're getting on this. I haven't watched the other ones. They put out several of many different Joe Biden aides. And I just don't have the time of the day to go over all of those. I saw Karine Jean-Pierre and thought it would be interesting. So I grabbed it and ran with it. And, the people liked it. It's getting a lot of views or whatever. So, hey, it is what it is. But, I just find all this fascinating. Oh, he was talking to a little kid about his stutter. Like, come on, lady. Are you serious? Do you really believe that anybody believes you? These people are just scumbags, y'all. They really are. And I think that's all I got on this. They just are. They want to lie. Give us an unbelievable story, right? Like trying to tell us, well, I was up on, the Empire State Building, and I just happened to fall over the rail. And on my way down, somebody threw me out of the window a parachute, and I grabbed that parachute, put it on, clipped it in, did everything, secured myself, pulled the string, and it didn't open. Oh my God, it didn't open, and you'll never believe what happened after that. Superman came and scooped me up right out of the sky. And then took me out for coffee. You'll never guess. And you know what? He absolutely refused to give me his autograph. You'll never believe this story. Like, we don't believe you. And it's really insane to think that you would say this with a straight face and think that we're going to believe you, that we're just going to take it in. Like, this is the appeal to authority that default liberals just love for some reason. They will just hear this and be like, well, Karine Jean-Pierre did say that he did meet with a kid with a stutter and that Joe Biden absolutely talked about his stutter all the time. Like, come on. Serious? I don't believe you. Seriously. But it is what it is, folks. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments section. I'd love to hear from you guys. Y'all don't forget, do me that favor, smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. Click the join button, sign up and become a member. It's the best way to stay up to date with the latest news, folks. To do all that for me. So y'all do that, and you guys remember that God, He loves us, y'all. He loves each and every one of you out there. And He has a plan for you. You might not know what that plan is, but He does have a plan for you, tailor-made for you. But that's all I got, y'all. So y'all do all that, and you guys try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.